everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary if you're new here. It feels like it's been a hot minute since I've talked to you all, except for you guys, it probably won't feel like that because of pre-recording, but I, for the past 2 weeks, was fighting an infection and now I'm almost better. Really put a damper in my December videos and reading, so time to catch up. But today, better late than never, we're going to talk about all the books that I read in November, and I read 7 books. Almost all of these books I do have vlogs for, so it'll be quick, short, easy, hopefully, and let's just get into it. Grab a drink. I've got all my Christmas decor up. Got my tree yesterday. It smells like a Christmas tree farm in here. Absolutely adore it. And then I bought myself a new Christmas mug. Cheers. I've got a rooibos tea. Yeah, you can kind of see it. And let's just get into it. Quickly for stats, I have here in my reading journal, I read 7 books in November. I read 3,196 pages. I wrote 0 hours listened because I kind of did tandem reading for some, so I didn't really know how many hours I listened to some audiobooks. And I had 0 DNFs, and I read all of the books this month physically, which is crazy because it's been a struggle of mine to read the books that I own this past year, and I'm slowly getting a lot better at it, so I'm very happy about that. The first book that I finished in the month of November was A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. So this is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I gave this book 4 stars, and I'm still standing by that a month later. I gave both the first and second book 5 stars. The second book is like a 6-star book for me, and I was a little disappointed with this book and the execution. I'm not going to really go into details about what it's about because obviously it's the 3rd and final book in a series, but it was basically wrapping up everything that happened in book 1 and 2, mostly book 2. Got actually 3 POVs in this book versus the one that we have been following for the past 2 books, Evangeline's POV. And yeah, I'm a little sad about the execution. I thought that some parts dragged on, and the ending was, yeah, kind of like a happy ending, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, so a little bit disappointed, but overall, I'm still obsessed with the series and would definitely recommend it to anyone who loves fantasy or wants to get into fantasy and that has like a hint of romance. You would love this, and it's very, very easy to fly through. The second book that I read in November was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. So both of these were in an anticipated releases reading vlog, and I also gave this book 4 stars. It might even be a 3.5. Again, so this is the second book in the Fourth Wing series. I know it's called something different. The Emporium. I'll put it right here, but this is the second book. It's massive. It honestly feels like you're reading 2 different books after you like hit the halfway point. Again, the execution was just not what I thought it was going to be. It felt slow yet rushed. There were still some surprises, but also it wasn't very shocking at the same time. The ending, I could see it coming as like the cliffhanger ending, and I know, or like I have a feeling it's gonna be fine. I don't know. I just feel very iffy about these 2 books, and I wish I loved them a lot more because these were some of my most anticipated reads for this entire year. And yeah, a little bit disappointed. The next 4 books were a part of my 24-hour reading challenge. So the first one I finished was With Love from Cold World. So this is a romance, and it's kind of like an enemies to lovers workplace romance. And these 2 characters work at a Christmas, winter type amusement park, I guess you could say, in Florida. And they kind of have some workplace drama that resulted in them hating each other. They don't really hate each other. I gave this book 2.5 stars. Might even be a 2 stars. I just didn't gel with the writing. I didn't like it at all. I didn't really care about these two characters and didn't understand, like, I didn't see the chemistry. And wow, I'm like in a very negative mood right now. I'm sorry. I thought the story was pretty boring. It was not a very Christmassy, wintry read like I thought it would be. There was a scene at the end where I was like, oh, okay, I understand, or like I appreciate them as a couple in this scene, but other than that, I wasn't really rooting for them. The ending was kind of rushed and lackluster. Not my favorite. Honestly, probably wouldn't recommend it. Maybe if you liked her first book, Love in the Time of Serial Killers, you would like this. I never read her first book, so I'm not really sure how to compare it, but if the writing is similar, then you might like this. But yeah, not a fan. Going to unhaul it. Very sad. This month was interesting, I gotta say. Now looking at all these books, it ends off strong, but the beginning and the middle especially, not so much. But the next book I finished was City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Shadowhunter series. So this book I started reading in July and just finished it in November. So that alone should tell you a lot. I gave this book 2 stars. Wasn't a fan of it. This is kind of like Twilight meets Vampire Diaries meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So you have Clary, who is the main character, who finds out about the world of vampires and werewolves and how it all relates to her mother and possibly her father that she's never known. And so you follow along her journey, and she's very insufferable. I did not enjoy the writing. It is YA, so it have something to do with that, but like A Curse for True Love is technically YA, and I love those books. So sometimes me and YA don't get along, but a lot of the times we do, so I'm not really sure. I just didn't like this book a lot. I think maybe it's just past its time, and I would have enjoyed it more as a teenager when it came out, but not a fan, sadly. I don't think I'm going to continue this series, and I will probably unhaul this as well. I'm not sure yet. The next book I read was The Shining by Stephen King. So this one is quite the book, and it is my first Stephen King novel, and I gave this 3 stars. Overall, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable read. I wouldn't say it's horror. It was kind of more like haunted house, maybe kind of thriller-y, but it's basically about a family. Jack is the father who basically gets a job being like the caretaker of a hotel during the winter time when they close down. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, it's very remote, and he is going to stay there alone with his wife and his child, Danny. Danny has kind of these like visions, psychic capabilities, memory, reading capabilities, and there's just a lot of creepy things going on, possibly murder, all of this stuff. Overall, I thought it dragged on quite a bit. I didn't find a lot of it very intriguing. The second part is definitely a lot more intriguing than the first part of the book. And for a lot of it, I just felt really, and I talked about this in the reading vlog, I just felt really, really bad for the mother and for Danny because he's a child, and like, why does a child have to deal with all of this? The writing was great. I really enjoyed Stephen King's writing, so I do think I will continue reading the books of his that I own and may purchase in the future. There were parts that were very racist and had racial slurs in it that wasn't a fan of as well. This book was written, what, in the 70s, I believe? 70s or 80s, but still, not great. 3 stars, overall, pretty good. The next book that I read that was also the last book in the 24-hour readathon or reading challenge was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I gave this book 4.5 stars, might even possibly be 5 stars, but I'm keeping it at 4.5. This book is about a witch named Mika Moon who basically, witches in this world are not allowed to really practice their magic. It's very looked down upon, and she only gets to meet her witch friends once in a blue moon, basically once every couple of months, and they don't really talk about stuff. They don't really practice their magic together. So it's a very isolating life that she lives. And she pretends to be a witch online, and she has like followers that, you know, think that she's a real witch, but she says that she's not. And she gets contacted to basically teach these 3 young witches how to control their magic. So she goes out, checks out this house, checks out these people, and you kind of go along for the journey. And it is such a fun ride. It is so cozy. The police are going around, but it's so cozy, it's so warming, and it's like the perfect book to read whenever you just want a nice feel good, low stakes, just good time. This technically counts as a cozy mystery, but there is not that much mystery involved in it. It is more just like a fun time, hint of romance. Yeah, absolutely adored it. Loved all of the characters. They added so much to the story, and I felt like you got to know them and understand them really well, and so good. So good. The last book I read was Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, and sorry if I butchered the name, and I'm giving this book 5 stars. It took me a while to think about my rating and how I felt about this book because this book is so emotional. I believe it is tagged as a sci-fi because there are sci-fi elements to it, but it is a lot of literary fiction and just like a story about friendship. And so you follow Kathy, the book is from her POV, but it's basically, she's kind of writing like a memoir about her life and about her like group of friends, especially her 2 friends, Ruth and Tommy, growing up where they are in this school called Hailsham, and they are orphans basically, and you learn more about why they are at this school, and you follow along her journey and her talking about their life. This book is very slow. Nothing massive happens. There's no like crazy event that happens. It's just you're following along this story. It's kind of slow paced, but in a really great way. And then you get these lines and these moments that are just so powerful and so emotional. I cried at the end of this book. I just like, I don't know, I felt so bad for them. This was a fantastic read. I'm so happy that I finally got to this book. It was a part of my 23 and 2023, and I don't know why, I just kept putting it off, but what a masterpiece of a book, and I cannot wait to read more of Kazuo Ishiguro's writing. I have 2 of his other books, I believe, and if it's anything like this book, I know I will love it. And it's such a short book, but wow, it has so much power to it. There's a lot more I can say about that book, but I don't want to get into the spoilery parts about it. But if any of you have read this book and want to talk about it, write in the comments down below or DM me on Instagram. I am so open to having a conversation about this book because I loved it so much. I put in my reading journal some quotes. I don't think these are spoilery, but I will put a timestamp or in the cards where to go if you don't want to hear them. But some of my favorite quotes of this book. The first one goes, "We took away your art because we thought it would reveal your souls. Or to put it more finely, we did it to prove you had souls at all." Then the second one I wrote here from the book is, "Memories, even your most precious ones, fade surprisingly quickly. But I don't go along with that. The memories I value most, I don't ever see them fading." The last one I wrote here is, "I keep thinking about this river somewhere, with the water moving really fast. And these 2 people in the water trying to hold on to each other, holding on as hard as they can, but in the end, it's too much. The current's too strong. They've got to let go, drift apart. That's how it is with us. It's a shame, Kath, because we've loved each other all of our lives, but in the end, we can't stay together forever." God, I'm gonna cry again. Oh, yeah, that book is really, really good. And yeah, 5 stars. Highly recommend it. I need a tea break. These were all the books that I read in the month of November, and I clearly can't hold them with one hand. Let me know what you all read in November, if you have any suggestions for books to read in the coming months or new year. And I won't be having a December TBR up because my December TBR is basically trying to finish all the books that are on my 23 and 2023 and for all the book clubs that I'm a part of. It's not gonna happen, but we cross our fingers. I've only finished one book so far this month because of all the sicknesses I've been fighting, but I'm hoping for a strong end to the month and look forward to some exciting end of year wrap up videos. I'm so excited to film them, and I'm just hoping that the rest of the month I am nice and healthy so I can film all of these for you guys, and so we can talk more about it in the comments down below. And also, I just hit 500 subscribers, so thank you all so much for subscribing. I don't really talk about it much in my videos because I don't know, it's kind of awkward, but every time any of you subscribe to my channel, it means so much to me, and I am so proud of the little community that we've made here, and I am hoping we can continue growing it in the next month and in the following year and maybe years to come. So thank you all, it means so much to me. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you all in my next video. Happy reading, bye!